The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched for miles in every direction. Millions of beings from across the galaxy filled the massive space. Their voices created a sound like thunder that never stopped. Today was special. Today marked 500,000 years since the greatest victory in galactic history. Ambassador Veltai stood at the center podium. His 6 arms moved in perfect harmony as he spoke. His blue skin gleamed under the bright lights. Behind him, a massive hologram showed the Sol system. The third planet from the star burned with orange fire. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," Veltai's voice boomed across the hall. "Today we remember the day we saved ourselves. Today we remember the day we destroyed the humans." A cheer rose from the crowd. It was so loud that the floor shook. Species that normally hated each other cheered together. The memory of the human threat was enough to unite them all. High Commander Zixara watched from her private viewing box. Her red eyes glowed with satisfaction. She remembered the old stories, the warnings passed down from her ancestors. Humans were dangerous. They learned too fast. They grew too strong. They would have consumed the entire galaxy if left alone. The ancient prophecies spoke of the devourer species, Veltai continued. A race that would eat worlds and enslave the galaxy. The humans were that race. But we stopped them before they could spread beyond their homeworld. The hologram changed. It now showed human ships trying to escape Earth. The ships were small and primitive. They moved slowly compared to modern vessels. One by one, galactic forces destroyed them. The humans sent desperate messages, but no one listened. No one cared. Ancient Sage Morthun sat in the front row. He was old even by his species' standards. He had lived for over 1,000,000 years. He remembered when the decision was made to attack Earth. The vote had been close. Some council members thought the humans might be peaceful. Others believed they could be controlled. We were wrong to doubt, Morthun thought to himself. The humans would have destroyed us all. The hologram showed the final moments of the human civilization. Their cities burned, their armies fell. Their last transmission was a simple message: "We will remember." Then silence. The human threat was over. The humans were clever, Veltai said. They built weapons that surprised us. They fought harder than we expected, but they were still primitive. They still used chemical rockets. They still fought with metal bullets. They were no match for our advanced technology. The crowd laughed. It was easy to mock the humans now. They had been gone for so long that they seemed like a bad dream. A nightmare that was over. Captain Taeho Kim sat in the back of the hall. He was young for a starship captain. His species lived for thousands of years, but he was barely 300. He listened to the speeches with growing discomfort. Something felt wrong about celebrating the death of an entire species. The humans sent out radio signals, Veltai continued. They told stories, they made music. They seemed almost intelligent, but we knew better. We knew they were dangerous. We acted before they could threaten us. Taeho remembered the human artifacts in the galactic museums. Their art was strange but beautiful. Their music had patterns that no other species created. Their stories spoke of hope and dreams. It was hard to believe these beings were monsters. Some soft-hearted fools suggested we should have tried to communicate. Voltaia's voice grew harsh. They thought we could have reasoned with the humans, made them part of our galactic community. But the prophecies were clear. The devourer species could not be allowed to grow. The hologram changed again. It showed Earth today. The planet was dead. No lights shone from its surface. No signals came from its space. It was a tomb world marked with warning beacons. Number. Ship was allowed to approach the Sol system. It was declared a cursed zone. For 500,000 years we have lived in peace. Voltai spread his arms wide. No species has threatened the galaxy. No race has tried to conquer us all. We learned our lesson from the human threat. We watch for signs of dangerous species. We act quickly when needed. The crowd cheered again. Many species had benefited from this policy. Dozens of potentially dangerous civilizations had been destroyed over the centuries. The galaxy was safe because the council was always watching. Eugene Park sat next to Taeho. She was his navigation officer and closest friend. She leaned over and whispered, "Do you really think they were that dangerous?" "The humans?" Taeho shrugged. "The council has never been wrong before. If they say the humans were a threat, then they must have been." But even as he said it, Taeho felt doubt. The human artifacts he had seen told a different story. They spoke of a species that loved beauty and knowledge, a species that dreamed of exploring the stars in peace. "The Sol System remains forbidden," Veltai announced. "The human homeworld is a reminder of what happens to species that threaten the galaxy. Let it stay dead, let it serve as a warning to others." Woo-Sung Lee, Taeho's chief engineer, nodded along with the speech. But privately he wondered about the human technology. The artifacts showed machines that were crude but clever. The humans had solved problems in ways no other species had tried. What might they have achieved if given time? "We have built a perfect galaxy," Veltai concluded. "Every species knows their place. Every world serves the greater good. There are no wars, because we prevent them. There are no threats because we eliminate them. The human sacrifice made this possible." The celebration continued for hours. Different species gave speeches about how the human destruction had saved them. Artists performed songs about the great victory. Children learned about the dangers of the devourer species, but in the back of the hall some beings felt uneasy. Captain Taeho Kim was not the only one who wondered about the truth. The human artifacts were too beautiful to come from monsters. The human stories were too hopeful to come from destroyers. As the celebration ended, billions of beings returned to their homes across the galaxy. They felt safe knowing that the council protected them. They slept peacefully knowing that the human threat was gone forever. None of them knew that in the dead Sol System something was stirring. None of them suspected that the humans had left more than just ruins behind. None of them imagined that the greatest threat to the galaxy was not what they had destroyed, but what they had failed to find. The hologram of burning Earth faded from the Great Hall. The lights dimmed, the celebration was over. But far away, in a system marked with warning beacons and shrouded in fear, ancient plans continued to unfold. The galaxy celebrated its victory over humanity. But victory, like many things, can be an illusion. And illusions, no matter how comforting, eventually shatter when faced with truth. 3 months after the great celebration, Captain Taeho Kim stood on the bridge of his exploration ship, the Eternal Wanderer. The ship was small compared to military vessels, but it was fast and equipped with the best sensors in the fleet. Taeho's job was to map unexplored regions of space and search for new resources. "Captain," Eugene Park called from her navigation station. "I'm picking up something strange on the long-range sensors." Taeho walked over to her console. The screen showed a map of nearby star systems. Most were well-known trading routes or colony worlds, but one system blinked with an unusual signal. "What kind of signal?" Taeho asked. "That's the weird part," Eugene frowned. "It's coming from the Sol System." The bridge went quiet. Every crew member knew about Sol. It was the Forbidden Zone, the place where humans used to live. No ship had been there for hundreds of thousands of years. "That's impossible," Woo-Sung Lee said from the engineering station. "Nothing lives in Sol. The whole system is dead." "I know what the records say," Eugene replied. "But I'm getting a clear signal. It's weak, but it's definitely artificial. Someone or something is transmitting from Earth." Taeho stared at the display. Galactic law was clear about the Sol System. No ship could approach it. No one could investigate. The area was marked as cursed and dangerous. Ships that violated this law faced severe punishment. "Maybe it's just an old satellite," suggested Myra Ozaki, the communications officer. "Human technology still working after all this time. For 500,000 years? Woo-Sung shook his head. "No technology lasts that long, not even ours." Taeho felt his curiosity growing stronger than his fear. The human artifacts he had seen in museums were fascinating. Their creators had been declared monsters, but their art and science showed great intelligence. What if there was more to discover? Sir, Eugen said quietly, the signal is getting stronger. Whatever is sending it knows we're here. That's not possible, Tejo said, but his voice was uncertain. The humans are extinct. The council made sure of that. The crew watched their screens with growing nervousness. The signal from Earth was definitely responding to their presence. It pulsed in a pattern that seemed almost like a greeting. Captain, Wusung said slowly, maybe we should report this to headquarters. Tejo knew that was the smart choice, the safe choice. But something about the signal called to him. It felt familiar somehow, like a voice he had heard in dreams. Set course for the edge of the Sol system, Tejo ordered, sir. Eugen looked shocked. That's against direct orders from the Galactic Council. We're not going to land on Earth, Tejo explained. We're just going to take a closer look from a safe distance. The crew exchanged worried glances, but they obeyed. The Eternal Wanderer changed course toward the Forbidden System. As they traveled, the signal grew stronger and more complex. This isn't random noise, Myra said, studying the communication patterns. This is a structured transmission. Someone is trying to talk to us. But who? Wusung asked. The humans are gone. The council destroyed them. Maybe they missed some, Eugen suggested. Maybe a few humans escaped and hid somewhere in the system. Tejo considered this possibility. The human attack had been swift but not perfect. Perhaps. Some humans had survived in hidden bases or distant asteroids. After 500,000 years, they might have rebuilt their civilization. Sir, Myra called out urgently, I'm receiving a clear message. It's in perfect Galactic Common. The bridge fell silent. Galactic Common was the universal language used for all interspecies communication. It had been developed long after the humans were destroyed. There was no way any surviving humans could know it. Put it on the main screen, Tejo ordered. Ah. Voice filled the bridge. It was calm and pleasant, with a slight accent that no one could identify. Welcome to the Sol System. Please proceed to coordinates 127.4 by 89.7 by 15.2. You will be met there. The message repeated 3 times, then stopped. This is crazy, Wusung muttered. We should turn around right now. The coordinates are near Earth, Eugen reported. Very close to the planet's surface. Tejo felt his heart racing. Everything about this situation violated his training and his common sense. But his curiosity was stronger than his fear. Are our weapons ready? He asked. Yes, sir, reported the weapons officer. But if we're facing human technology from 500,000 years ago, we should be fine. The Eternal Wanderer approached the given coordinates. As they got closer to Earth, the crew could see that something was wrong with their sensors. The planet didn't look dead. Energy readings showed massive activity beneath the surface. Captain, Eugen said in a shaky voice, there are structures in orbit around Earth. Big ones. They're not showing up on our long-range sensors, but they're definitely there. Tejo stared at the view screen. Earth looked almost normal. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land masses. But there were strange shadows moving across the surface. And Eugen was right about the orbital structures. They were huge, easily the size of small moons. How is this possible? Myra whispered. The records show Earth burning. The humans are supposed to be extinct. Maybe the records are wrong, Tejo said, though he didn't believe it himself, anew. Signal reached their ship. This time it came with precise docking instructions. Someone wanted them to land on a specific platform near one of the orbital structures. This is a trap, Wusung said firmly. We should call for help. Help from who? Eugen asked. We're not supposed to be here. If we call the council, we'll be arrested for violating the Sol prohibition. Tejo weighed his options. They could turn around and pretend they never saw anything. They could call for help and face punishment. Or they could continue forward and discover the truth. We've come this far, he decided. Let's see what's waiting for us. The Eternal Wanderer approached the docking platform. As they got closer, they could see it was made of materials they didn't recognize. The design was elegant and advanced, far beyond what they expected from ancient human technology. Energy readings are off the charts, Wusung reported. Whatever powers this place, it's more advanced than anything in our database. The ship settled onto the platform with a gentle bump. Outside the windows, they could see a breathable atmosphere and normal gravity readings. Someone had prepared for their arrival. Life signs, Myra announced. One individual approaching the ship. Humanoid, but the readings are ... strange. Through the view screen, they watched a figure walking toward their ship. It was definitely humanoid, but taller than most galactic species. It wore simple clothes and moved with confident grace. As the figure came closer, Tahoe realized what he was seeing. The shape of the face, the way it walked, the proportions of the body, it all matched the descriptions from the old records. "That's a human," he said quietly. "Impossible," Wusung breathed. "They're extinct." The figure stopped in front of their ship and looked up at the bridge windows. Even from a distance, they could see it was smiling. It raised one hand in what looked like a friendly greeting. Then it spoke, and its voice came through their communication system clearly. "Hello, Captain Taeho Kim and crew of the Eternal Wanderer. My name is Hayoung Choi. I've been waiting for you to arrive. Please come outside. We have much to discuss." The crew stared at each other in shock. The human knew their names. It knew their ship, and it had been expecting them. Taeho realized that everything the galaxy believed about humans might be wrong. Dead wrong. Captain Taeho Kim stood at the airlock of his ship. His hands shook slightly as he checked his weapon one more time. Behind him, Eugene Park and Wusung Lee waited nervously. They had agreed to meet this impossible human, but none of them knew what to expect. "Remember," Taeho said quietly, "humans are supposed to be dangerous. Stay alert." "Sir," Eugene whispered, "she knew our names. She knew we were coming. How is that possible?" Taeho had no answer. Nothing about this situation made sense. According to every record, every history book, every official document, humans had been extinct for 500,000 years. Yet here they were, talking to one. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. The air outside was clean and fresh, with a slight floral scent. The platform they stood on was made of some smooth, white material that seemed to glow with its own light. In the distance, Earth hung like a blue and green jewel against the black of space. Hayoung Choi waited for them a few meters away. She was tall, taller than any of the galactic species Taeho knew. Her black hair was long and straight, and her dark eyes seemed to hold ancient wisdom. She wore simple gray clothes that looked comfortable and practical. "Welcome to Earth," she said with a warm smile. "I hope your journey was pleasant." Her voice was calm and friendly, speaking perfect galactic common without any accent. She acted as if meeting aliens was the most normal thing in the world. "You're human," Taeho said, stating the obvious because he couldn't think of anything else to say. "Yes, I am," Hayoung replied. "I imagine this comes as quite a surprise to you." "Surprise?" Wusung stepped forward, his voice shaking with confusion. "You're supposed to be extinct. The Galactic Council destroyed your entire species." Hayoung's smile didn't fade, but something sad flickered in her eyes. "Is that what they tell you? That they destroyed us?" "We saw the records," Eugene said. "The holographic footage. Earth burning, your cities destroyed, your ships destroyed." Hayoung nodded slowly. "Yes, I imagine it did look quite convincing. We worked very hard to make it appear real." The three aliens stared at her in confusion. Taeho felt like his world was spinning. Nothing this human said made any sense. "What do you mean, appear real?" he asked. "Please walk with me," Hayoung gestured toward a path that led across the platform. "This will be easier to explain if I show you." They walked together across the strange, glowing platform. Taeho noticed that the surface felt warm beneath. His feet and the artificial gravity was perfectly adjusted for comfort. Everything about this place spoke of incredibly advanced technology. 500,000 years ago, Hayoung began, your Galactic Council decided that humanity was a threat. They gathered their fleets and came to destroy us. Because you were the devourer species, Eugene said. The ancient prophecies warned about you. Haiyang stopped walking and turned to face them. Her expression was patient but amused, like a teacher explaining something simple to children. The devourer species, she repeated. Yes, we've heard that name. It's quite dramatic, isn't it? But tell me, what exactly did your prophecies say we would devour? Taeho thought back to the stories he had learned as a child. You would consume worlds, enslave other species, destroy the galaxy. And did we? Haiyang asked. In all the time before the Council attacked us, did humanity ever invade another world? Did we ever attack another species? The aliens looked at each other uncertainly. Now that Taeho thought about it, the historical records were unclear about what humans had actually done wrong. The Council had attacked them because of what they might do, not what they had done. You were expanding too fast, Wusung said weakly, building too many ships, growing too powerful. We were exploring, Haiyang corrected gently. We sent out small scout ships to learn about the galaxy. We transmitted messages of peace and friendship. We wanted to meet other intelligent species and learn from them. They reached the edge of the platform. Below them, Taeho could see more structures attached to the orbital station. They stretched down toward Earth like the roots of an enormous tree. When the galactic fleets arrived, Haiyang continued, we realized that we had two choices. We could fight back and prove their fears correct, or we could disappear and let them think they had won. Disappear? Eugene asked. But we saw the battles. We saw your ships being destroyed. You saw what we wanted you to see, Haiyang smiled again. We built false cities on the surface. We filled them with automated defenses and unmanned ships. When your fleets attacked, they destroyed empty buildings and robotic fighters. Taeho felt a chill run down his spine. Where were the real humans? Underground? Haiyang said simply. We had been preparing for this possibility for decades. Our greatest cities were built deep beneath the Earth's surface in places your sensors couldn't detect. When the attack came, our entire population was safely hidden. That's impossible, Wusung protested. Our sensors would have found you. Your sensors in that time were quite primitive, Haiyang said without insult. We had already developed technology to hide from them. It wasn't difficult. She gestured toward Earth below them. For 500,000 years, we have lived and grown in secret. We've built cities that span continents. We've developed technology that would seem like magic to your current civilization, and we've been watching. Watching what? Taeho asked, though he was afraid to hear the answer. Everything, Haiyang said. Every species in the galaxy. Every war, every peace treaty, every technological advancement. We've been learning from all of you, taking the best ideas from every civilization and improving upon them. Eugene looked pale. You've been spying on the entire galaxy? Learning, Haiyang corrected. There's a difference. We never interfered, never caused harm. We simply observed and studied. Why? Wusung demanded. Why hide for so long? Why not reveal yourselves? Haiyang looked out at the stars, her expression thoughtful. Because we needed time to grow. To become something more than we were. The galaxy feared us when we were primitive and weak. Imagine how they would react to us now. What do you mean? Taeho asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know. I mean that the species the Galactic Council tried to destroy no longer exists, Haiyang said quietly. We are no longer the humans they remember. We have evolved. We have become something new. She turned back to face them, and for a moment Taeho thought he saw something inhuman in her eyes, something vast and ancient and incredibly intelligent. The question now, Haiyang said, is what we do with this knowledge. You have discovered our secret. You know that humanity survived? What happens next depends on what you choose to do with that information. Taeho realized that his hands were trembling, not from fear of this one human, but from fear of what she represented. If humanity had survived and grown in secret for 500,000 years, what had they become? What were they capable of? What do you want from us? He asked, Young's smile returned, warm but somehow sad. For now, I want to show you the truth. I want you to understand what really happened 500,000 years ago, and what is happening now. Then, when you've seen everything, you can decide whether to help us or fight us. Fight you? Yujin asked weakly. Oh yes, Young said, her voice still gentle, but with an edge of steel. The Galactic Council will certainly want to fight us when they learn we're still alive. The question is whether you'll stand with them or with us when that time comes. She began walking again, leading them toward what looked like an entrance to the orbital station. Come, there's so much more you need to see. As they followed her, Taeho couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into something far bigger than they could understand. The human beside them might look peaceful, but she represented a secret that could shake the entire galaxy. And somehow, he suspected that was exactly what she intended. The entrance to the orbital station was unlike anything Captain Taeho Kim had ever seen. It looked like a simple doorway, but as they approached, the walls seemed to shift and flow like liquid. The door opened without any visible mechanism, revealing a corridor that stretched impossibly far into the distance. How big is this place? Yujin Park asked, her voice echoing strangely in the space. Bigger than it appears, Young Choi replied. We've learned to fold space in ways that make small areas contain vast amounts of room. Wusung Lee stopped walking. That's impossible. Space folding technology is theoretical. No one has ever made it work. No one in the galaxy has made it work, Young corrected. We have had 500,000 years to solve problems that other species consider impossible. They walked through the corridor, passing doorways that led to rooms filled with equipment that Taeho couldn't identify. The technology looked organic somehow, as if it had grown rather than been built. Lights pulsed gently through the walls like blood through veins. Where are we going? Taeho asked. To meet our prime coordinator, Young said. He's eager to speak with you? They entered what looked like a transport chamber. There were no controls that Taeho could see, but Young simply spoke to the air. Transport to Central Command, please. The chamber filled with a soft blue light. For a moment, Taeho felt dizzy and weightless. Then the light faded, and they were somewhere completely different. They stood in an enormous cavern that stretched beyond the range of sight. The ceiling was so high that it disappeared in darkness above them. But what took Taeho's breath away was the city that filled the cavern. Buildings rose like crystal trees from the cavern floor. They were beautiful and strange, with flowing curves that seemed to defy physics. Gardens filled with impossible plants grew between the structures. Rivers of light flowed through the air like liquid starfire. Welcome to New Geneva, Young said. One of our smaller cities? This is underground? Yujin asked in amazement. Several kilometers beneath the surface, Young confirmed. We have hundreds of cities like this, connected by transport networks that span the globe. People move through the city below them. From this distance, they looked human, but Taeho noticed that they moved differently, more gracefully, more purposefully. And some of them seemed to be flying without any visible technology. How many of you are there? Wusung asked. Currently? About 12 billion, Young said casually. We've been careful to maintain a stable population while focusing on development rather than expansion. 12 billion. The number hit Taeho like a physical blow. That was more than the population of most galactic member worlds. And they had been hiding beneath Earth all this time. A figure approached them across the observation platform. He was tall like Young with silver hair and kind eyes. He wore robes that seemed to shimmer with their own light. Captain Kim, the man said, extending his hand in the ancient human gesture of greeting. I am Du Hyan Song, Prime Coordinator of the Earth Federation. Thank you for coming to visit us. Taeho shook the offered hand, noting that Du Hyan's grip was firm and warm. Prime Coordinator? We still practice democracy, Du Hyan explained. Though our system has evolved somewhat over the centuries, I'm elected to coordinate between our various city-states and research councils. You've been hiding here for 500,000 years, Yujin said, still staring at the city below. What have you been doing all this time? Du Haiyan smiled. Learning, growing, becoming more than we were. Would you like to see some of our achievements? He gestured, and the air in front of them shimmered. Suddenly, they were surrounded by holographic displays showing incredible sights. Cities that floated in the clouds above Earth, underwater settlements in the deepest oceans. Vast forests where the trees themselves were intelligent and spoke to their human caretakers. We've learned to work with nature instead of against it, Du Haiyan explained. Our cities are alive. They grow and change and heal themselves. They're powered by the Earth itself, drawing energy from the planet's core and the sun above. Another gesture brought new images. Humans working alongside beings of pure light. Others who seemed to be made of living metal. Some who looked like they were built from crystallized starlight. What are those? Teho asked, pointing at the strange beings. Humans, Du Haiyan said simply, or what we've become. We discovered that consciousness is not tied to biological form. Some of us chose to explore other ways of existing. You can change your bodies? Wusung looked horrified. We can transcend our bodies, Du Haiyan corrected. Though many of us still prefer our original forms, it's a matter of personal choice. A new figure joined them on the platform. She was small and energetic, with bright eyes that seemed to sparkle with inner light. She wore a simple white coat over practical clothes. This is Yunji Han, our chief scientist, Du Haiyan introduced. She can explain our technological development better than I can, Yunji smiled warmly at the three aliens. You must have so many questions. Where should we start? How is any of this possible? Teho asked. You were attacked by the entire Galactic fleet. How did you not only survive but advance so far beyond everyone else? Necessity, Yunji said. When you're forced to hide underground for your survival, you become very good at solving problems efficiently. We couldn't waste resources on wars or politics. Every effort went toward advancement and survival. She waved her hand and new holographic displays appeared. They showed complex diagrams that hurt to look at directly. We learned to manipulate matter at the quantum level, Yunji explained. We can create any material we need from basic elements. We learned to fold space and time, allowing us to travel instantly between distant points. We learned to harness the fundamental forces of the universe itself. But the galactic community has been advancing too, Yujin protested. We've made incredible progress in the last 500,000 years. Yunji's smile became sad. Have you? Your ships are still limited by conventional physics. Your weapons still rely on crude energy projection. Your computers still use binary logic systems. You've made improvements, but no fundamental breakthroughs. We've had peace, Wusung said defensively. We've built a stable galactic civilization. You've had stagnation? Du Haiyan corrected gently. The Galactic Council maintains order by preventing any species from advancing too quickly. They learned from their fear of humanity. Now they make sure no one else can threaten their control. Teho felt a chill. The implications of what these humans were saying were staggering. Are you saying the Council has been holding back galactic progress? Not intentionally, Haiyang said. They genuinely believe they're protecting the galaxy. But fear makes people conservative. The Council is terrified of another species like humanity arising, so they maintain strict controls on technological development. While we, Yunji added, have been free to explore every possibility. We've had 500,000 years without interference, without restrictions, without fear holding us back. The holographic displays showed more wonders. Humans who could manipulate energy with their thoughts. Others who could step between dimensions as easily as walking through a door. Cities that existed partially in normal space and partially in other realities. This is why you couldn't reveal yourselves, Teho realized. You've become exactly what the galaxy feared you would become. No, Du Haiyan said firmly. We've become something far more dangerous than anything the galaxy imagined, but we've also become something better. Better how? Yujin asked. We've learned wisdom along with power, Du Haiyan explained. We know what it means to be hunted, to be hated, to be feared. We've had time to consider what we want to do with our abilities. And what do you want? Teho asked the question he was afraid to voice. Du Haiyan looked out over the vast city below them. Millions of humans lived their lives in peace and prosperity, pursuing knowledge and art and the endless expansion of what was possible. We want to share what we've learned, he said quietly. We want to help the galaxy become more than it is. But first, we need to deal with the threat that's coming. What threat? Wusung asked. Eu Unji's expression became serious. The same threat that the ancient prophecies warned about. The real devourer species. They're coming, and they're much worse than anything the galaxy imagined humans could be. The galactic community isn't ready to face them, Du Haiyan continued. They don't have the technology, the unity, or the understanding needed to survive. But we do, Haiyang turned to. Face the three aliens directly. That's why we revealed ourselves to you. That's why we need the galaxy to know the truth. Time is running out, and we're the only hope for everyone's survival. Teho stared at the incredible city spread out below them. 12 billion humans. Each one more advanced than anything in the known galaxy. Technology that seemed like magic. Power beyond imagination, and they were claiming to be the good guys. Du Haiyan's song led them deeper into the city of New Geneva. As they walked through streets that seemed to bend and flow around them, Captain Teho Kim noticed something strange. Every human they passed seemed to know who they were. The aliens received polite nods and curious but friendly looks. How do they know about us? Eugene Park asked nervously. Word travels fast here, Du Haiyan replied. And your arrival was expected. Expected? Wusung Li stopped walking. You said you were waiting for us, but how could you know we would come? Du Haiyan smiled, but there was something mysterious in his expression. Perhaps it would be better if Ji-hoon explained. He's been looking forward to meeting you. They entered a building that looked like it was made of living crystal. The walls pulsed with soft light, and Teho could swear he heard something like a heartbeat coming from the structure itself. Inside, they were led to a large circular room with no visible furniture. Instead, the floor formed comfortable seats as they approached. A man was waiting for them in the center of the room. He was shorter than the other humans they had met, with dark hair and intense eyes that seemed to see everything. When he smiled, it didn't quite reach those eyes. Captain Kim, Officer Park, Engineer Lee, the man said, greeting each of them. By name, I am Ji-hoon Yu, Director of the Observational Corps. Please sit. We have much to discuss. The aliens sat on the chairs that had grown from the floor. The seats adjusted automatically to their body shapes, providing perfect comfort. Observational Corps? Teho asked. Our eyes and ears in the galaxy, Ji-hoon explained. For 500,000 years, we have been watching, learning, and occasionally guiding events in galactic civilization. Guiding? Eugen's voice was sharp with suspicion. Ji-hoon gestured, and the air around them filled with holographic displays. They showed star maps, trade routes, political boundaries, and military movements across the galaxy. Every major event in galactic history for the past 500,000 years has been influenced by human intervention, Ji-hoon said calmly. The peace treaty that ended the Corvan Wars? We provided key intelligence to both sides. The technological breakthrough that led to faster-than-light communication? Based on research we quietly shared with the right scientists. Teho felt his blood turn cold. You've been manipulating us. Guiding, Ji-hoon corrected. There's a difference. We never forced anyone to do anything. We simply made sure that the right information reached the right people at the right time. The holographic displays changed, showing individual aliens that Teho recognized from history books. Great leaders, brilliant scientists, famous peacemakers. Ambassador Valtai? Ji-hoon pointed to a familiar blue-skinned figure. His famous speech that united 12 species against the stellar pirates was based on talking points we provided through carefully placed advisors. High Commander Zixara, he indicated another figure. Her military strategies that won the Border conflicts were adapted from tactical manuals we leaked to her staff. Even ancient sage Morthon, Jehun continued, has been receiving our guidance for centuries. His great philosophical works contain ideas that originated in human research councils. Wusong stood up abruptly, his face flushed with anger. You're lying. These are great figures in galactic history. They achieved everything through their own merit. Of course they did, Jehun agreed. We never controlled them. We simply gave them tools and knowledge, then let them choose what to do with those gifts. Their achievements are real, but they were built on foundations we provided. New displays appeared showing the vast network of human agents throughout the galaxy. They were embedded in every major government, every important corporation, every influential organization. We have people everywhere, Jehun said proudly. Scientists, traders, diplomats, soldiers, even entertainers. Most of them don't even know they're working for us. They believe they're independent contractors or freelance agents. How many? Taeho asked weakly. Currently? About 50,000 active agents across the galaxy, each one carefully placed to observe and influence events according to our long-term plans. Yujin looked sick. You've been controlling our entire civilization. Not controlling, Jehun insisted. Nurturing, protecting, preparing for what? Taeho demanded. The displays changed again, showing something that made all three aliens gasp in horror. It was a map of the galaxy, but beyond the known borders was something else. A vast darkness dotted with hostile red points that seemed to pulse with malevolent energy. The real threat, Jehun said solemnly. The actual devourer species. They call themselves the HFY, and they consume entire civilizations. Not just the people or the resources, they devour the very concept of life itself, leaving nothing but empty void behind. They're coming? Wusung asked in a small voice. They've been coming for millions of years, Jehun confirmed. They move slowly, methodically, consuming galaxy after galaxy. Our deep space monitoring systems detected them long ago. They will reach the edge of our galaxy within the next 5,000 years. Taeho stared at the terrifying display. 5,000 years, that's not very long on a galactic scale. No, it's not, Jehun agreed. Which is why we've been preparing the galaxy for this threat. Every technological advancement, every political alliance, every military improvement has been designed to create a civilization capable of fighting the HFY. But why the secrecy? Yujin asked. Why not tell the galaxy the truth? Because the galaxy would panic, Duhayan said, speaking for the first time since they entered the room. Imagine if the Galactic Council announced that world-eating monsters were coming to destroy everything. Civilization would collapse into chaos and fear. Instead, Jehun continued, we've been slowly building the galaxy's defenses while letting them believe they're in control of their own destiny. It's taken 500,000 years, but galactic civilization is finally approaching the level needed to have a chance against the HFY. The displays showed massive construction projects hidden throughout the galaxy, battle stations disguised as research facilities, weapon systems integrated into peaceful space installations, entire fleets of warships camouflaged as cargo vessels. We've been building an army, Jehun explained. Not just ships and weapons, but an entire military-industrial complex spread across thousands of worlds. When the time comes, the galaxy will have the tools needed to fight. But will they have the unity? Duhayan asked. Will they have the leadership? That's the real question. Taeho felt overwhelmed by the scope of what these humans had been doing. You've been planning this for 500,000 years? Longer, Jehun said. We knew about the HFY even before the Galactic Council attacked us. Their approach was one of the reasons we were advancing so quickly. We were trying to prepare Earth's defenses. The Council's attack actually helped us, Duhayan added. It forced us to hide and develop our technology in secret. If we had remained visible, we would have been limited by galactic treaties and conventions. Hidden. We were free to become as powerful as necessary. So the Council's fear created exactly what they were trying to prevent, Yujin realized. Yes, Ji-hoon smiled grimly. Ironic, isn't it? Their attempt to destroy the Devourer species created the only force in the galaxy capable of stopping the real Devourers. New images appeared, showing human technology that was beyond anything Taeho could have imagined. Weapons that could destroy stars, ships that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, soldiers who had transcended physical form entirely. This is why we revealed ourselves to you, Du-hyun said. The final phase of preparation is about to begin. Soon, we will need to emerge from hiding and take open leadership of galactic defense efforts. The galaxy won't accept that, Woo-sung protested. They still think you're the enemy. Which is why we need allies, Ji-hoon said, looking directly at Taeho. People who understand the truth. People who can help us convince the galaxy that we're their salvation, not their destruction. You want us to be your messengers? Taeho realized, we want you to be the first, Du-hyun corrected. The first to know the truth. The first to understand what's really at stake. The first to choose between fear and hope. The holographic displays faded, leaving them in the softly glowing room. Outside, the great city of New Geneva continued its peaceful existence. 12 billion humans living lives of incredible advancement and potential. The choice is yours, Ji-hoon said quietly. You can return to your ship and report what you've seen to the Galactic Council. They will declare war on us, and we will be forced to defend ourselves. The galaxy will tear itself apart just as the real enemy arrives, or, Yujin asked. Or you can help us reveal the truth gradually, Du-hyun said. Help us prepare the galaxy for what's coming. Help us unite everyone against the real threat. Taeho looked at his crew members. He could see the same confusion and fear in their eyes that he felt in his own heart. Everything they had believed about their civilization was wrong. Everything they thought they knew about humans was false. But if these humans were telling the truth, then everything they cared about was in terrible danger. We need time to think, Taeho said finally. Of course. Ji-hoon smiled, and this time it reached his eyes. Take all the time you need. But remember, the Vexhai won't wait for US to be ready. Captain Taeho Kim sat in his quarters aboard the Eternal Wanderer, staring at a communication device that could change the fate of the galaxy. His hands trembled as he considered what to do. 3 days had passed since their meeting with the human leaders, and his crew was growing restless. Captain, Yujin Park knocked on his door. We need to make a decision. Taeho let her in, along with Woo-sung Lee. They had been debating what to do since leaving the human city. The evidence they had seen was overwhelming, but the implications were terrifying. If we report this to the council, Yujin said, we'll be starting a war. If we don't report it, Woo-sung countered, we'll be guilty of treason. And what if the humans are lying? What if this is all an elaborate trap? Taeho had considered the same possibility. But he had seen too much, learned too much. The scope of human civilization, the technology, the careful preparation spanning 500,000 years, it was too complex to be a deception. The threat. They described, he said slowly, the Vexhai. If that's real ... then the galaxy needs to know, Yujin finished. But will anyone believe us? Before Taeho could answer, alarms began ringing throughout the ship. Their communications officer's voice came over the intercom. Captain, we're receiving an emergency transmission from the Galactic Council. They're demanding our immediate return? To headquarters. The 3 officers looked at each other in alarm. Taeho activated his communicator. How did they know where we are? Unknown, sir. But the transmission is marked with the highest priority codes. Taeho realized that their time for decision had run out. Set course for Council headquarters, maximum speed. As the Eternal Wanderer prepared to leave the Sol system, Taeho made his choice. He activated an emergency beacon, a coded message. That would be transmitted to every ship in their exploration fleet. In the message, he described everything they had discovered. The surviving humans, the hidden cities, the technological advances, and the coming threat of the Vexhai. What are you doing? Woo-sung asked in panic. Making sure the truth gets out, Tejo replied. Whatever happens to us, other people need to know. The ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving Earth behind. But the damage was already done. Within hours, Tejo's message had spread throughout the exploration service. Within days, it had reached every corner of the galaxy. The reaction was immediate and explosive. On the capital world of the Galactic Council, Ambassador Veltai stared at intelligence reports with growing horror. His 6 arms shook as he read confirmation after confirmation of humanity's survival. "This is impossible," he muttered to himself. "We destroyed them. I saw the records myself." High Commander Zixara burst into his office without permission. Her red eyes blazed with fury and fear. "Is it true?" she demanded. "Are the humans really alive? The reports suggest?" Veltai began. "I don't want suggestions." Zixara slammed her fist on his desk. "I want facts. Are we facing the return of the Devourer species?" Before Veltai could answer, ancient sage Morthun entered the room. The million-year-old being moved slowly, but his ancient eyes were sharp with intelligence. "I have consulted the oldest records," Morthun said in his creaking voice. "The prophecies speak of this moment. The return of the Devourers was always foretold." "But we stopped them," Veltai protested. "We destroyed their world." "We destroyed what they wanted us to destroy," Morthun corrected. "The prophecies say that the Devourers would appear to die, only to return stronger than ever." Zixara's face went pale. "How much stronger?" "Strong enough to threaten the entire galaxy," Morthun said grimly. Across the galaxy, panic spread like wildfire. On every world, in every system, the news of humanity's survival created chaos. Some species demanded immediate military action. Others called for negotiation. A few suggested fleeing to distant galaxies. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the largest gathering in its history. Representatives from over 10,000 species filled the Great Hall. The noise was deafening as thousands of voices argued in hundreds of languages. Ambassador Veltai stood at the central podium, trying to restore order. His voice boomed over the chaos. "Fellow beings, we face the greatest crisis in galactic history." Slowly, the noise died down. Thousands of eyes turned toward him, filled with fear and expectation. "The reports have been confirmed," Veltai announced. "Humanity has survived. They have been hiding on their homeworld for 500,000 years, growing in power and number." The hall erupted in screams and shouts. Some delegates fainted. Others began praying to their various gods. A few simply stared in shock. High Commander Zixara took the podium next. "I am mobilizing every fleet in the galaxy. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. We will finish what we started 500,000 years ago. And if we fail?" called out a delegate from the back of the hall. "Then the galaxy falls to the Devourer species," Zixara replied grimly. "But we will not fail. We cannot fail." Within hours of the announcement, the greatest military mobilization in galactic history began. Warships from thousands of worlds converged on rallying points throughout the galaxy. Ancient weapons were brought out of storage. Planetary defense systems were activated for the first time in centuries. The humans had claimed they wanted peace. But the galaxy remembered the old prophecies. The Devourer species would consume everything if given the chance. Better to strike first while there might still be hope of victory, but even as the fleets gathered, doubt crept into some minds. Captain Tejo Kim, now under arrest and awaiting trial for violating the Soul Prohibition, had also transmitted detailed descriptions of human technology. If his reports were accurate, the galaxy's combined forces might not be enough on the councils. War Planning Station, military leaders from dozens of species studied tactical projections. Every simulation ended the same way: total defeat for the galactic forces. "Their technology is too advanced," admitted General Korthak, the galaxy's greatest military strategist. "If these reports are accurate, we might as well attack the sun." "With sticks and stones? Then what do you suggest?" Zixara demanded. "Negotiation," said a quiet voice from the back of the room, every head turned toward the speaker. It was Fleet Admiral Pharos, one of the most respected military officers in the galaxy. Negotiation? Zixara repeated in disbelief. With the Devourer. Species? Captain Kim's report mentioned a greater threat, Thyros pointed out. Something called the Vexhi. If the humans are telling the truth about that ... If they're telling the truth about anything, Zixara interrupted, this could all be an elaborate deception to make us lower our guard. Or it could be our only hope of survival, Thyros countered. The argument that followed would be remembered in history as the Great Debate. For 3 days, the galaxy's leaders argued about whether to attack the humans or attempt to communicate with them. The debate raged across every world, every station, every ship in space. Meanwhile, the massive fleet continued to grow. Millions of vessels from across the galaxy joined the Armada. It was a force unlike anything ever assembled to combined military might of an entire galactic civilization. But on Earth, the humans watched their approach with calm interest. They had expected this reaction, they had prepared for it, and they were ready to demonstrate just how far humanity had evolved during their long exile. The battle that was coming would determine the fate of the galaxy, but it would not be the battle that either side expected. In the deep void between galaxies, something stirred. The Vexhi had detected the massive energy signatures of the gathering fleets. They adjusted their course slightly, increasing their speed toward this galaxy that showed such promising signs of life. The real war was still thousands of years away. But the war for humanity's acceptance as the galaxy's protector was about to begin. The largest armada in galactic history approached the Sol system like a storm cloud made of metal and energy. 15 million warships from across the galaxy had answered the call. Every species, every world, every military force had contributed to this ultimate fleet. The combined firepower could destroy entire star systems. High Commander Zixara stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Galactic Unity. Around her, holographic displays showed the vast extent of her forces. Battleships the size of cities, carriers, filled with fighter craft, weapons platforms that could crack planets. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. All fleets report ready, announced her communications officer. Excellent, Zixara replied. Open a channel to the human homeworld. The main screen flickered to life, showing the blue and green world that had caused so much fear. For a moment there was only silence, then a calm voice responded. This is Admiral Kyung Min-oh of the Earth Defense Forces. You are entering our territory without permission. Please state your intentions. Zixara felt a chill at how casual the human sounded, as if facing the greatest military force in galactic history was nothing special. I am High Commander Zixara of the Galactic Council, she announced formally. You will surrender immediately and submit to galactic authority. Your species will be relocated to secure worlds where you can cause no harm. I see, Admiral O replied thoughtfully. And if we refuse? Then you will be destroyed, Zixara said coldly. As you should have. Been 500,000 years ago. There was a pause. Then, to Zixara's amazement, the human laughed. High Commander, I appreciate your honesty, but I'm afraid I have some news that might change your perspective. What news? Zixara demanded. You're surrounded. Zixara stared at the screen in confusion. Surrounded? By what? There's nothing here but your dead system. Look again, Admiral O suggested gently. Suddenly, every sensor on every ship in the galactic fleet began screaming warnings. Space itself seemed to twist and fold around them. Reality bent in impossible ways. And from that bent space emerged the true human fleet. Ships appeared everywhere. Not just around Earth, but surrounding the entire galactic armada. They were massive beyond belief, each one the size of a small moon. But they moved like living things, flowing through space with organic grace. Impossible, Zixara whispered. 15 million ships, Admiral O observed. Quite impressive for such a young civilization. We're honored that you consider us worth such an effort. How many ships do you have? Zixara asked, though she dreaded the answer. Currently active in this engagement, about 50,000. Number hit Zixara like a physical blow. 50,000 ships to counter 15 million. The humans either had incredible confidence or were completely insane. You're outnumbered 300 to 1, she pointed out. Numbers aren't everything, Admiral O replied. Would you like a demonstration? Without waiting for an answer, one of the human ships did something impossible. It simply stopped existing in normal space. For a moment, Zixara's sensors showed nothing where the ship had been. Then it reappeared directly in the center of the galactic formation. Panic spread through the armada as every ship tried to target the intruder. Thousands of weapons fired simultaneously. Energy beams, missiles, plasma bolts, particle accelerators. Everything the galaxy had developed over millions of years, none of it reached the human ship. The weapons simply ceased to exist as they approached, as if the space around the vessel consumed them. Impressive firepower, Admiral O commented. But you're still thinking in terms of conventional physics. We moved beyond that long ago. The human ship fired a single beam of purple light. The beam touched one of the galactic battleships and the massive vessel simply toast. Its engines died. Its weapons powered down. Its life support systems continued working, but every combat system went offline. We call it a pacification beam, Admiral O explained. It doesn't destroy your ships or harm your crews. It simply removes their ability to fight. Impossible, Zixara repeated. No weapon can do that. Your weapons can't, Admiral O corrected. Ours can do much more. To prove his point, another human ship appeared next to a galactic carrier. This time, instead of firing a weapon, the human vessel simply touched the alien ship. Where they made contact, the alien vessel began to change. Its armor became transparent crystal. Its weapons transformed into flowering plants. Its engines turned into something that looked like musical instruments. Matter restructuring, Admiral O said casually. We can change any material into any other material at the molecular level, quite useful for construction projects. Across the galactic fleet, panic was spreading. Ship captains who had fought in dozens of wars were calling for retreat. Soldiers who had never known fear were praying to their gods. The humans weren't just more advanced, they were operating on a completely different level of existence. This is a trick, Zixara said desperately. Some kind of illusion. If you prefer to think so, Admiral O replied. But your sensor readings don't lie. We've been polite so far because we hope to avoid unnecessary conflict. But if you insist on testing our capabilities, a dozen human ships moved forward. As they approached the galactic fleet, they began to change. They flowed like liquid, reshaping themselves into forms that hurt to look at directly. Geometry that shouldn't exist. Angles that folded back on themselves. Structures that seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions. We learned to manipulate space-time itself, Admiral O explained. Your ships exist in normal 3-dimensional space. Ours can operate in 11 dimensions simultaneously. From our perspective, your formations are as transparent as glass. To demonstrate, one of the transformed human ships simply passed through a galactic battleship. It moved through the solid matter as if it wasn't there, emerging on the other side completely unharmed. The battleship it had passed through continued functioning normally. APPARENTLY unaffected by having another ship move through its hull. How? Zixara asked weakly. Phase shifting, Admiral O said. We exist in the same space as you, but on different dimensional frequencies. We can interact with your reality when we choose to or ignore it completely. More human ships began, demonstrating their capabilities. Some grew to enormous size, becoming larger than the biggest galactic dreadnoughts. Others split into thousands of smaller vessels, then recombined instantly. A few simply vanished from all sensors, only to reappear light years away moments later. Faster than light travel without using hyperspace, Admiral O noted. We step outside normal time, move to wherever we want to go, then step back in. The entire journey takes 0 time from our perspective. General Korthak, watching from his command ship, felt his world collapsing around him. Everything he knew about warfare, about physics, about the nature of reality itself, was being proven wrong. "What do you want from us?" he called out over the communication channel. "The same thing we've always wanted," Admiral O replied. "Peace, understanding, cooperation in the face of a threat greater than any of us." "The Vexhai," Zixara said, remembering the reports. "Exactly. You've spent the last 3 days gathering this magnificent fleet to fight us, but we're not your enemy. We're your only hope of survival against the real threat. One of the human ships projected a holographic display that was visible to the entire galactic fleet. It showed the approaching Vexhai forces vast beyond imagination, consuming everything in their path. "They'll be here in less than 5,000 years, Admiral O continued. Your current technology won't stop them. Your current unity won't be enough. But together, with our help, you might have a chance." "Why should we trust you?" Zixara demanded. "You've been manipulating us for 500,000 years. "Because," Admiral O said gently, "we could have destroyed your entire fleet in the first 10 seconds of this encounter. We could have conquered the galaxy at any point in the last 500,000 years. But we didn't. We chose to guide you, to help you grow, to prepare you for what's coming. And if we refuse your help?" Korthik asked. Admiral O was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was sad. "Then you'll face the Vexhai alone. And your civilization will join the countless others that have been completely erased from existence." Around the human ships, space began to fold again. The demonstration was over. One by one, the human vessels faded from view, returning to whatever dimensional space they normally occupied. "The choice is yours," Admiral O said as his image began to fade from the screens. "You can continue to see us as the enemy and waste your strength fighting us. Or you can accept our help and prepare for the real war that's coming." "Wait," Zixara called out. If we were willing to listen, what would you propose?" Admiral O's image solidified again. For the first time he smiled. "A new alliance," he said. "A partnership between humanity and the galactic community. We'll share our technology, our knowledge, our capabilities. In return, you'll help us unite the galaxy for the fight ahead." "And if we refuse?" "Then we'll protect the galaxy anyway," Admiral O replied, "because it's the right thing to do. But it will be much easier with your help than without it. The greatest fleet in galactic history hung in space, facing an enemy that had proven itself beyond all conventional understanding. The choice before them would determine not just the fate of their civilizati." 3 months after the confrontation at Sol, the Galactic Council chambers had been transformed. The Great Hall that once celebrated humanity's destruction now hosted the most important negotiations in galactic history. Representatives from every species sat alongside human delegates, working to forge a new alliance. So Young Kong stood at the central podium where Ambassador Voltai had once boasted of humanity's defeat. She was young by human standards, barely 200 years old, but she carried herself with the quiet confidence that came from representing the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. "Fellow beings," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast space, "we gather today not as conquerors and conquered, but as partners facing a common threat." The alien delegates listened with mixtures of awe, fear, and desperate hope. The demonstration at Sol had shattered their understanding of what was possible. Now they faced a choice between pride and survival. Ancient sage Morthon, now over 1,000,000 years old, spoke from his place in the front row. The prophecies spoke of this moment. The devourer species would return, not to consume us, but to save us from something worse. High Commander Zixara, her earlier hostility replaced by grudging respect, addressed the assembly. "Our military analysis is complete. Conventional weapons cannot touch human vessels. Our combined fleets cannot match their technology. If we fight them, we lose. If we join them. If you join us," So Young continued, "we share everything. Our technology, our knowledge, our resources. Together we prepare for the Vexhai." She gestured, and the air above the assembly filled with holographic displays showing the approaching threat. The images were more detailed than before, gathered by human deep space monitors that had been watching the enemy for millennia. The Vexhai Empire spans 17 galaxies, So Young explained. They have consumed over 4 billion inhabited worlds. Their technology is based on entropy manipulation. They literally feed on the destruction of order and life. A gasp ran through the assembly. The scale of the threat was beyond anything they had imagined. Their advanced fleets will reach our galaxy in 4,800 years, So Young continued. Their main force will arrive 300 years later. We have less than 5,000 years to prepare for the greatest war in the history of this universe. Ambassador Veltai, his 6 arms trembling, asked the question everyone was thinking. Can we win? So Young was quiet for a moment, considering her answer carefully. With your help, we have a chance. Without it, both our civilizations will be erased from existence. Captain Taeho Kim, now released from custody and serving as a special advisor, stood to address the assembly. I've seen their cities. I've witnessed their technology. The humans aren't the monsters we thought they were. They're our salvation. But why help us? Called out a delegate from the hegemony worlds. You could flee to another galaxy? Escape the Vexhai entirely, So Young smiled sadly. Because this is our home too. Earth is part of this galaxy, and we won't abandon our neighbors to destruction. Besides, the Vexhai will eventually reach every galaxy, running only delays the inevitable. Du Haiyan Song, who had been observing from the human delegation, stepped forward. We propose a complete merger of galactic resources, human technology combined with your industrial capacity. Our knowledge integrated with your creativity. A true partnership. What would this partnership look like? Ask Fleet Admiral Thy Ross. Hunyu activated new holographic displays showing vast construction projects. We'll begin immediately with infrastructure development. New shipyards capable of building vessels with human technology. Training centers where your people learn our sciences. Research facilities where we work together to develop even more advanced weapons. The displays showed incredible plans. Entire solar systems converted into manufacturing centers. Planets hollowed out and turned into massive fortresses. Space itself restructured to create defensive barriers light years across. The scale is staggering, whispered General Korthik. It has to be, Yunji Han said, joining the discussion. The Vexhai don't just attack worlds, they consume entire star systems. We need defenses that can operate on the same scale. How many people will be involved in this project? Zixara asked. Everyone, So Young replied simply. Every intelligent being in the galaxy will need to contribute. This isn't just about building weapons, we're restructuring our entire civilization for war. Hai Young Choi, who had first greeted the alien visitors to Earth, stepped up to address concerns about human dominance. We know you're afraid of being controlled by us. That fear is understandable given our history. But this alliance must be based on mutual respect and shared leadership. How can we be equal partners when your technology is so far beyond ours? Asked a representative from the core worlds. Because you have things we need, Hai Young explained. Numbers for one. Humanity has 12 billion people. The galaxy has over 2 trillion intelligent beings. We need your